Hey guys, it's South African Chris here from New Zealand again. And today on Top Stocks, let's have a look at what happened yesterday. It wasn't too bad. And you'll see on the screen, I've got my, Market Investor Pro app busy scanning for new stocks, new candidates for my top stocks for today. So I'll just move that out of the way while we look at what happened yesterday. So again, for those of you who are not aware yet, I use software that I've developed for myself as a software developer, partly, so that I can manage my trades better. I do multiple trades, so I do day trading, also some swing trades, which means I don't hang on to stocks for longer than hopefully 10 days, depending on the conditions. I don't use fundamentals often. I rather rely on technical indicators. And what we see here is a watch list of stocks I'm currently watching. The ones in blue is stocks that I've actually bought, so they're in play. And on my portfolio, we can see the various stocks for this month. There is also a whole bunch of trades for last month. And last month I had a good month, made a good profit that you can see over here at the top. And then also carried some forward to this month. There's also some losses. It's not always winning. Sometimes you lose some. It's just the way it works. But and why is this hanging? But that's just the name of the game. So I'm going to quickly figure out why my software is crashing or hanging, and then I'm going to resume. And I'm back. That was quick. Okay, so that was last month. Let's go back to this month, which was not so good. First of all, I missed the first week of the month due to illness. And now looking at where we are, so I carried over two stocks, Pfizer and Nvidia, made some good profits on those. Made another good profit on Appian Corporation, but then I had a couple of losses in a row. Luckily, I set my stop loss there so that it doesn't damage me too badly. My stop loss is based on a percentage of my total cash value. So you'll see my stop loss around about $273.87, and here we've got a win ratio of double that. So it means if we have equal wins and losses, we still make a profit because that profit ratio is higher than the loss ratio. Alright, but we want to do better than just double. We don't want 50% wins. We want 70 to 80, maybe 90% wins. That's much better. Last month was about an 85% win rate, so that was good. This month, not so much so far. Anyway, where are we? So let's have a look at what I've done. So you'll see on the date closed, we can see the ones that was closed yesterday. So today's the 15th of December, by the way, here in New Zealand. And yesterday I closed off a few. So those were MCK, it was Ulta Beauty, and it was Lululemon. Took some losses, made a few wins, but not many. But today was a good day. So for yesterday's stock. So setting up my target profit and my stop loss limits the stock sell when it reaches a certain target. So from those trades, from yesterday's trades, we can see here $273 loss, right? And that was on HubSpot. There was a $547 win on MicroStrategy Incorporated. There was another win here on Tesla, which I didn't mention yesterday. This was a little bit of just a in the moment trade. All the criteria didn't necessarily line up, and when I talk about criteria, I'd like to show you what I'm referring to. So when I bought the stock, it was a little bit above the EMA, which usually is potentially dangerous because that could tend to snap back, as we've seen here in the past. The stochastics is not at the bottom line yet. It was still at the top, but I saw lots of bearish action here on the MACD. That big gap we see there of the blue line above the red line, which is the signal line, we see a lot of bearish activity there. So that was the one thing. And when I closed off the stock, you'll see there was this profit on the bearish green candle we see there, and we had a turnaround in the stochastics, so that turned out to be a good trade. It could possibly go higher, it most probably would, but how much higher we don't know. So I take the profit, and it's not about maximizing the profit on each trade, it's making consistent profits on many trades, because if you try to push that too much, you might end up losing more than you're winning. So okay, next one here is Renewable Energy Group. Made a good profit there as well, so that's one we spoke about yesterday, and that worked out well. Then there's a couple of open ones here. So Discovery currently and then minus, and what I should actually do is hit current price, because what we see here is the last close, and I've got another error. Okay, I'll fix that in a second, so just bear with me. Let's close that and let's pause this, and then I'll be back in a second. Okie dokie, I'm back. Sorry for that. Still working on a few bugs, hence the version being 0.97 and not 1 point something or 2 point something or 3 point something or whatever, because there's still a few bugs. It's still a beta version, really. But if you, while saying that, if you want some access, early access on the software and play around with it and use it for yourself, you're more than welcome to. I've built in some machine learning predictive methods in here, and there's a whole bunch of tools that's really cool. But anyway, I'm not here to sell software. I want to talk about stocks. So the ones we've still got open for trading, I said I was going to just update the current price, because we see the closed price here, right, the last close. So what this button does is it fetches the most current pricing, so you'll see some of them will actually change, and we'll get a more realistic picture of what's happening right now. Currently we're in post-market, so we'll enter pre-market in not too long from now, couple of hours. Alright, so on Discovery we've got a little bit of a loss, $7 really, it's virtually the same. On ADS we've got a little bit of a loss, also not huge, it's a few cents, so we're still good. On AMP we're minus $21 down, there's still hope. And then on ARCT we are $31 up, also not much. So all in all, we're a little bit below a profit line here. Obviously the profits that wasn't here, I closed those deals and it got pushed into this table here, giving us our monthly total running profit. Okay, now let's look at the stocks that we need for today. So I'm going to run my stock finder again, and we'll scan through the entirety of the 7,207 stocks in the stock market as it stands. And once it's done, I'm going to get back to you and tell you what those are. Okie dokie, so this is running again. I had to restart it a few times and adjust some parameters, because initially when I set the minimum average true range value to 3, it already came up halfway through the scan with about like a 51 stocks already, so that was quite a lot of them. So I'm running the scan again, but while we wait for that to happen, I wanted to just bring your attention to the ones that we've highlighted here, and stocks that look quite promising, and we'll talk about them as soon as the scan is done. But one here is Blackrock. So this was one that I've added a while ago, but I've said it wasn't ready yet because it didn't reach that bottom of the stochastics yet. And the same for AMD. PSTH is, and CIIC and SPLK are the ones that I found from ZipTrader. So if you just Google ZipTrader on YouTube, or search for ZipTrader on YouTube, then you'll find a lot of videos from this individual. He does some good trading videos as well. So I thought I'll add them here and just keep an eye on them and see how they pan out. And then at the bottom I've got FleetCor Technologies, because this is actually a stock that I bought before. You'll see it's here in the list, and on this one we made a loss, but I kept on tracking it because I always like to learn and see what stocks do and how they behave. So I thought I'll keep it in there and just track it as it goes along. Excuse me, and see what happens. I've also built in a couple of other tools recently, which I'll talk about a bit later. So we let the scan through, and then we'll have at least a short list of candidates, and then the job is to process them and see which ones will actually make it to our watch list, and from the watch list we'll see which ones actually make it through to being top stocks for today, the 15th of December. Okay, so finally finished, and we've got a short list here of 33 stocks. So the job now is to run through them and see which ones are going to make it onto the watch list. So first, let's start with the top one here, Adobe. So if we look at Adobe, just wait for the technical data to appear. What we're looking for here is first of all, the stacked EMAs and SMAs, which we'll get because that was in the search criteria. But we'll see there was a bit of a crossover on the EMA 18 with the EMA 50 not too long ago, very recently actually. A very bullish day yesterday, which is pretty good. So that closed at $486.42 all the way up from $475.91. We're looking for the stochastics that's at the bottom and turning back up, which is exactly what this one is doing. We want to be wary that it's not a weak turn back, so that it keeps dwindling down there, because then it spans across multiple days and we have to wait quite a long time to kind of recover that investment. So we can see here a sharp turn, and we see a similar pattern here, sharp turn back. There is a problem, not really a problem, but almost a problem. The MACD here is bearish. We've got the blue line below the Cigna line, and there's almost a crossover less than 5 trade days ago, which is not great. The average true range has dwindled down a bit, which doesn't really mean much. It's just the volatility of the stock, really, which we do look at because we don't want something that has very little gains or losses. We want something that, like a Tesla stock, ideally, that you know, makes massive gains, or if you go bearish, massive losses. So here also we've got the RSIs, the relative strength index, and we want to see that this is above at least this midline here, which is a value of 50, and we want to see it hitting that top, or actually going above that top. That indicates quite a strong stock. In this case, we're not seeing that really. So I'm not gonna look at Adobe. Let's look at the next one. So Albemarle Corporation, or whatever, ALB. Again, the layout of the EMAs and SMAs are not ideal. Not sure why this one popped up, because it is way above the top level there. We've got quite a bullish MACD, which is not bad, but I don't think this would be a good time to buy into this stock. It looks like it's at the overbought level, which means you'll probably overpay for that at the stage. Had a bit of a bearish day yesterday. It's a little bit above that EMA, so look, there is always the potential that you can see jumps like we've seen here on the 9th of November, and then up to the 10th of November, but again, not ideal, right? We're not hard up for stocks. There's quite a lot of them here, so we're gonna search until we find the right candidate at least. Okay, I don't know why my cool new information on the right hand side here is not displaying. We'll fix that later. Anyway, so looking at this one, so what's this? Aristo Networks, technology. Bearish day yesterday, like most stocks. We can see here it's at the bottom of the stochastics, but it's not really turning around yet. Fairly bullish MACD, well, quite very bullish, but it seems like the gap is closing between that MACD line and the Cigna line, which is not great. We don't want them to intersect at this stage. Doesn't look like they would, but you know, immediately, but they might. Here you can see a good trend on the RSI. It's trending here at the top level, dwindling down a bit, and we could see a similar patterns to what we saw here around mid-October, and then pushing up again towards the end of October, start November. But yeah, not ideal. I'm not gonna look at that one today. Previously I said that I'm not trading with healthcare, but that has changed. Obviously the healthcare stocks have been doing great. This one has picked up, but I've already had it in my watch list, and I'm actually already playing this one, so or it's in place, so I'm just going to leave it there. So Asml Holdings, technology, once again. So we can see that these candles are quite a bit above the EMA 18. That could be potentially dangerous, because sometimes they tend to snap back. But we could also see a similar bounce as we saw here above that EMA 18, which probably you know, would drag the EMA 18 further towards the trend line here. We do see a turnaround here on the stochastics, which is good, and we see quite a bullish MACD, and the RSI looking pretty good. So I'm going to keep this one on the watch list, and I'm going to continue through the other ones, and I'll tell you what I end up with in just a second. Right, I've gone through all of them. There's quite a lot in the list. First, which was already on my list, is Facebook. So let's have a look at Facebook. Let's look at the technical indicators. And let's just see what's happening here. And I'm hoping my cool tool is working. It is good. So this is trying to pick up patterns. There doesn't see any patterns in the current time frame, but it does give you some indications based on the technical indicators, purely what it suggests to do. We can see that it's below the stochastics, but not turning back up yet, which is ideally what we want. So not yet, but we are going to mark this one to keep watching it. The ones I have marked, let's watch those first, or check those first. So we've got Blackrock. We can see still down there, not turning back up. Also, it's doing what I always refer to as duck face. Not great, but let's just keep an eye on it. AMD was in the list as well, so I've made some good profit of AMD before. So let's just have a look at AMD here. So there's a pattern picked up. It's long ago, so not relevant. It's saying that it's got a weak trend. It's made a good profit yesterday for those who bought it. I'm a bit late into the game. I should have gone into this one yesterday. Anyway, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I might still, however. Right, so I'll come back to that one once I've contemplated it. Fleet Core, let's just see what's going on with this stock at the moment. So we go to the indicators. No, it's trending at the top. Very strong, but not interested at this stage. Okay, Asml Holding. So, is this one turning back on the stochastics? If so, then we'll go in. It looks like it is. Big gap on the MACD, a little bit downward trend there on the RSI, but I think that might pick up. So, we're going to go for this one. Let's go here. And we're going to say add trade, and I've built in some cool new features now to actually do my target price and stop loss for me, and it'll tell me what my ATR is 21.91, and the ATR on this stock is only $9. That's usually not a good sign, so that could be telling me that maybe this is not the best possible trade. So what I do in these cases, when I'm not overly convinced, when all of the boxes are not checked, is I halve the trade. So I'm going to do 12, and we'll just trade that, because we've got a whole bunch of other stocks that we can also add to the list, and capital is not unlimited. Boeing, so this one looked quite interesting considering everything happening. So let's go to Boeing. Let's look at the indicators here. So there's a pattern, but too long ago, not relevant now. We see that it's a strong trend. That's pretty good. So if we look at the stochastics, it's almost there. I think this one's going to turn around fairly quick. I might just get into this one. So I'm going to mark it because I want to see that stochastics turn around first. Otherwise, I might consider setting a limit price, making sure that it actually goes up a little bit from the current price, and which would trigger a buy. I might seriously consider that one. Okie dokie. So the next one we've got here is Cigna Corporation, healthcare. A week ago I would have said no, I don't want healthcare. Now I'm saying yes. There's a pattern on the 14th, which was yesterday. It's double top. It says it's bearish here. Don't mind about the target prices stuff here. This is purely theoretical. We have to use our own insight and do our own analyses. So we see here it's got a weak trend. All of the boxes are definitely not checked. We might see a spike here, but we don't know what's happening in the news. So I've built in this tool here that gives us live data on the selected stock. So let's say we see the stock CI here. So it says here, looking today at week over shares, outstanding changes among the universe, blah, blah, blah. And again, I'm not a fundamental trader, but once I'm not overly convinced on the technical data, I would like to rely a little bit on what's happening. Yeah, whatever. What's happening on in the fundamental world. So I'm not going to read through it now. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but I might consider that one if I don't find any better stocks now. So let's look at this one. Into it. Let's go to the indicators. And on this one, no patterns currently. That's fine. We can see a turnaround on the stochastics, and it's not all the way at the bottom, so people started buying again before it got oversold, which could be a good indicator. We see a little bit of an upward trend here. It's still above the 50, so it looks pretty good. It's not a greatly overly strong or trending stock, but that doesn't mean that it won't do well. So I'm going to go in with this one, and we'll keep the defaults, and we'll do a trade. Right, so yes, okie dokie. and we go back to the watch list, and let's look at the next one. So this is Intuitive Surgical Inc., right? Not the same company. So this is healthcare again. No current patterns. It's got a weak trend, but all the signals point to buy. We see this doji candle here. That might indicate that we might actually see a bearish activity there. We do see a rise in the stochastics, but look at this. This MACD is quite close. We see a crossover. It's more than 5 trade days ago, but in the RSI looks good. This is again one of those very difficult ones. Some indicators are pointing towards buy and others are pointing towards don't buy. Let's see, swift bearish for Brazil students, blah blah blah. Let's just see. I've got some other indicators here as well that I want to look at. So we've got the recommendation, but then there's also a sentiment telling you what the sector is doing. We know healthcare is doing well, and how is the symbol comparing to the sector? We can see not the same, but we can see that the bullish percent here is quite strong. So let's do what I do when in doubt and go in halfway. So I'm going to select this one. We've got 15 there, so we're going to make it 7 to half that, and round it down, and we'll add that one as a trade, see how that goes. All right, we've got KLA Corporation. Remember, what I'm doing here is not actually buying the stocks. I'm recording and planning and strategizing for the day. So once I'm done here, I'm going to program that into my broker platform. I use Tiger Trade and Thinkorswim. You can probably use a bunch of other ones, but that's what I use. But this helps me to kind of just identify that. I've also added here at the top, you'll see these dotted red lines. Those are actually the supports and resistance levels that the software picks up. So we can see that, where we might hit a resistance. Upturn, yes. Candles, good. EMA, SMA, good. MACD, good. Everything is great here. I'm buying this one. Strong trend. This is just a yes, 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 yes on all fronts. So definitely going in with this one. Let's record that trade. Yes. Okay. And Lam Research Corporation, or LAM or whatever, don't know. But what's the sector or the industry there? So we've got technology once again. No current patterns, very strong trend. This one is not doing too bad. So it's a little bit above the EMA there. There is a turnaround in stochastic, very bullish MACD, very good, very good. We're going to do this one. So let's record that one. Yes. Okie dokie. So lots of stocks today. I'm going to be broke after this one. Martin, Marietta Materials, Basic Industries. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, quite a dip there. No current patterns. It's saying it's a weak trend. Not a very strong signal here. It's dropping. It's crossing over. No, what did I add this one to my list? Delete it. Nvidia. I like Nvidia. I've made some money on Nvidia before. So let's see if we can do it again. If all the signs are there. So we can see there's a lot of room for upward action there, but we also see a bit of a decline on the bearish trend. Very strong turnaround there on the stochastics. Not the greatest, but not bad either. It is bearish according to the MACD, which we can see as it's a bearish MACD, but it's a bullish trend that we've got here. So we just need to keep that in mind. It's not the end of the world, but as long as they don't cross over. We can see a bit of a turn back here, and it might actually find resistance here at this mid-level. As you see, it's happened before, which means we could potentially not make any money on this one. Difficult one. Let's go halfies. Let's see if there's some news on Nvidia recently. So let's see. Outperforms competitors, very strong, blah blah blah. So let's see what this is. December 14. So they're saying they're doing good. Blue 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 blue. They did rally. Yes, it's good, but that could usually mean that they snap back or sell off on profits a little bit. So I'm gonna go into this one, but I'm going to go half, right? So 21 there, we're going to make it 10. All right. And you'll see as I either trades, it tells me what my target profit is and my stop loss over there. So Pendul Corporation, whatever that is. So I don't know. PDD. All right. So let's try this one. Yeah, that looks good. Good, strong trend. Okay. The signal, the suggestion says it doesn't really know what we should do. We can see it's about to turn around here above that line, like it's done here before. Let's see what happened when it did that. So let's say we get a turnaround similar to this one or even this one. Let's see what happened here. So at this stage we had a level of a close 137, and then when it reached the top here we had 143. So there's potential. It was quite a slow downward trend towards that oversold line, so it means it was holding quite strong. There's a bit of a duck face happening, in other words a potential intersection in the next 3 days or so, and there's a bit of a downward trend here. It is above the 50 line and it's good, but we want to see this pick up really. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not going to go for this one because we've got a lot of stocks at play, so we're not hard up. If I didn't, I would go in half on that one. I've never done so many half position sizing before. Yesterday's news, double top pattern. So we've got a double top here, which could potentially indicate a bearish trend here. We're not at the bottom yet. Definitely a duck face. That looks like it's picking up. We'll watch this one, but we're not going to buy it. WEX. And remember, this changes on a daily basis. So tomorrow it might look different for that stock. Nothing here. This looks like it's consolidating a little bit almost. We can see there's resistance level there. No, thank you. All right. And finally, I should delete that one, but let's just look at this one. So Xlnx, good. Hitting the resistance, which is not great. It's picked up there, quite bearish. We don't know if it'll break through that resistance. It might as well, but without knowing how many times it's tested it, really, I don't think I'm going to get into this one. So yeah, strong trend, all of that. No, I think we're done for the day. I'm happy. So let's let me remove this one because I don't need to keep it there, and let's just summarize what we've looked at on the top stocks for me for today. So the ones we've got here is ASML, INTU, ISRG, KLAC, LRCX, and NVDA. Right, you'll see this one shows a loss here at the moment, but that's because it's looking at the last close and not the current price. So I just click on the button here to get us the current after market price, and we'll see some adjustments here on the current profits as well, and that should pop back to 0 any moment now. It's retrieving the data from Yahoo Finance, so once that's done we should be able to see where we stand. Okay, good. So that looks all goody, and we'll track that, and tomorrow I'll give you an update on what happened and what tomorrow's top stocks are. Remember, do your own research. This is for information. I'm showing you and sharing my trading strategies, but you need to do your own research and you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. The stock market's volatile, it's risky, and you could potentially lose a lot of money. So if you find this useful and you want to use my app, Market Investor Pro, drop me a message or something, and you can get access to it. I charge $5 a month, which is practically nothing. That's just so that I can buy a cup of coffee now and then. So please support me. Hit the like button, please, and share this stuff, because I don't have a lot of viewers on these videos, but I keep on posting them with the hope that if I build it, they will come. But share, like, subscribe, all of that stuff, and safe trading. All the best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.